I scored a half-decent volley, and then I was playing centre-back, and I went back and I tried to cross turn, and Wayne called me over, he was managing, he went, "What are you doing? You score a good volley, then you're messing around at the back, you try, just pass the ball, you're not that kind." Yeah.
There's points in throughout the season, which only time will tell, of course, but they end up being massive. If Arsenal win the league by 1 point, you look back on this game and say, you know what, that was a massive result. True story this, Man United, I really believe that a big part of our success was playing in the PSP.
Really? Why?
First questions first, Wayne. A mixed weekend in your household with Manchester United winning, Everton losing at Anfield. But I want to know, has that Liverpool banner gone back up outside your house courtesy of your wife?
I hope not. I haven't been home yet. So, no, I done match of the day yesterday, and I come straight to Scotland for a charity day. So I haven't been home so yet, but it better not be up anyway, that's for sure.
Okay, I'm here for this. Coleen replied on social media, and we've actually seen photo evidence of the banner. She takes it very seriously.
Do you know what? It was worse than I thought. It was so much bigger than I thought. When he said when she'd put up a flag, I thought it was like a tiny thing. That was huge.
I've got to respect the fact, obviously, she's a Liverpool fan, and yeah, I respect that. But yeah, I can't have Liverpool flags up on my house. That's can't have that. That's
2.4 million impressions it got on social media. So everyone else has enjoyed it, Wayne, even if you haven't. As for the Merseyside derby, a pretty impressive showing from Everton. They made it interesting in that second half, albeit, of course, losing in the end.
Yeah, they did, and I thought second half they were good, Everton. I thought Liverpool looked like they tired. They got a bit tired. But yeah, I thought Everton played really well second half. First half, I thought Everton were poor, which sometimes happens at Anfield when Everton go there. And the goals were sloppy goals, kind of guided and track back, and Michael Keane maybe got sucked over a little bit too far. But the goals were sloppy goals, and when you go into a derby, you know you have to shuffle hard and you have to track back and stay with your runners, and that cost Everton, and that's ultimately what won Liverpool the game. But the reaction was very good. I thought second half. Everton were very good and were unlucky in the end not to get anything out the game, and I seen Jack's rant about the referee, which I agree with. I thought the referee 2 or 3 times stopped Everton from taking quick free kicks, and maybe he wanted to breather and wanted to rest, but in that situation I can understand why Jack got frustrated and was having a go at the referee, because you're trying to get back in the game and the referee's completely stopped that momentum. Those
comments were refreshing. It was actually nice to hear a player talk so open and honest about a decision rather than give a PR media trained answer. It was like he said what was on his mind, and I really appreciated that, and I agreed with everything he said.
Yeah, it was actually a good game though, wasn't it, overall?
Yeah, it was. I would have liked to see a few more tackles, but no, for a Merseyside derby you want to see a few more tackles, and especially first half. I thought there was a couple of chances for the Everton lads to leave one on the Liverpool players, and you know, and you'd expect that in the derby. But I suppose that's the way the game has gone, and the way, you know, players are getting booked in yellow and red cards nowadays. It's probably more difficult to do that. So I understand that. But yeah, it was a game of 2 halves really. Liverpool took their chances, and Everton, when they had some good half opportunities second half, just couldn't manage to get the second goal.
And the good news for me, I'm not a Manchester United fan. I'm very much neutral on this podcast. But when Manchester United do win, I do always think of the show and think, oh, it's going to be a slightly easier evening for me.
3 points off top 4.
Oh, I knew you'd say that before I'd even finished my sentence.
Do you know what? I thought, even with 11 men, I thought he started the game really well, and caused Chelsea problems. And then when Chelsea went to 10 men, I was worried. I was thinking, oh, it's just like United now to go and lose the game, and then I think that would have brought a whole lot of more pressure on the manager. But I thought they played really well first half, and then second half, it's silly, it's naive from Casemiro. As soon as he got his yellow card, I was watching it in the BBC studios with Danny Murphy, and I said I'd take him off. He's going to get sent off. You could just knew that what was going to happen, and it could have cost us in the end. And I think what I liked in the second half was the discipline from from United. They defended well and kept the ball in front of them, and Chelsea were poor. I thought Chelsea was slow and moving the ball side to side, but not really trying to penetrate. The only 2 crosses they put in the box is the one for the goal and one late on, which caused another big chance. So, but I think you have to praise Man United. I thought in them conditions as well, showed a lot of discipline, and that's a huge win.
How big do you think that result was for Ruben Amorim, Kay?
Listen, I think it's possibly a turning point, but he has to
you've
continue.
Said that before. United.
Yeah, but he has to continue. He has to continue winning games. Like I've quite openly lost faith in him, but with results like that, he's bringing some of it back. But I can't be over the moon.
Okay, just let's enjoy the 3 points.
Yeah, no, but that's it. Like I enjoy it. Yeah, I know. But I need to see back-to-back wins, Wayne. Come on, man.
Yeah, I know, but let's just enjoy
Yeah.
it. It was Chelsea have a good team, and I'm not
3 points off top 4. 3 points off top 4. That's it.
Early in the season, so let's enjoy it. Listen, I was on here last week, and you've probably seen how down I was and upset I was with what was going on and the results and stuff. So I'm happy. Amorim, let's get behind him. He's the man.
Wayne, my mum texted me after she'd listened, and she said, "Oh, Wayne sounded very down about Manchester United last week." And I said, in his defence, it was also 3 a.m. in Korea. He didn't.
Yeah,
want to
I was, to be honest, and I was down, and I had a couple of glasses of wine as well, and some of the emotions were probably coming out. But yeah, no, listen, I think. And Amorim has said it's a results business, and they have played some good stuff at times this season, but just couldn't get over the line. So you hope that gives the players confidence now, and to go and try and go on a bit of a run and pick up results, because as we've seen today, teams are dropping points. Obviously Liverpool aren't, but other teams are dropping points. So there's an opportunity for Man United to maybe go on a bit of a run and bring confidence back, and and try and have a good season. That's what
there was a positive with going down to 10 men. He had to finally change his system, so that was a nice thing to see.
Okay, let's move on then to one of the other big stories from the weekend. The rumours around Graham Potter's future at West Ham continue to circulate after another disappointing result at the London Stadium, losing at home, this time to Crystal Palace by 2-1. They pegged it back to 1-1 courtesy of Jared Bowen, but then another Crystal Palace goal condemned them to yet another defeat, just one win so far this season. So let's bring in a couple of West Ham fans to talk about it, Guvna B and Tom Davies. And firstly, Tom and Wayne, you guys have met before.
Last time I seen Tom was at Soccer Aid, and he was limping around. So when I'm waiting for his opinions now, because I'm going to critique his one as well.
That's one of my favourite ever moments of my career. I've done some pretty amazing stuff, but I scored a half decent volley, and then I was playing centre back, and I went back and I tried to Cruyff turn away from, I can't remember who it was. And Paul called me over, he was managing, and he went, "What are you doing? You score a good volley, then you mess around at the back, you try just pass the ball, you're not that kind of," yeah. It was a pretty incredible experience.
That was the most memorable Soccer Aid performance I've seen. 10 minutes and you were off.
I got injured. When Wayne took me out, I was starting at Old Trafford, I was like, "Oh, this is great."
Do you know on that one, it was Chunks missed the penalty, didn't he?
Yeah.
Oh, mate, and he was heartbroken in the dressing room after the game. He was close to tears, and I spoke to him after the game, and John Terry was sat about 3 seats down. I said to him, "Mate, this is a charity game." I said, "Imagine how we felt missing in the Champions League final." I said, "So, cheer up, you're okay."
The best thing of that was the party after. That was unreal. I remember Dermot Kennedy just sit on an acoustic guitar singing.
How good's his voice? His voice is amazing.
That was what voice? Yeah, it was a pretty special one, that.
But we aren't just here to reminisce about the good times, I'm afraid, guys. A really difficult start to the season after a pretty tough last season as well. Guvna, how are you feeling about everything? I'm guessing not that happy.
Yeah, I was about to say, man, you know the answer to that question already.
It's a bit rhetorical, isn't it? Sorry.
Yeah, I was actually quite optimistic at the start of the season, because we haven't won at home for quite a long time, even going into last season. But I was like, Potter gets a pre-season under his belt, a few signings through the door, and we'll be all right. A few games later, still haven't won at home. And yeah, man, for me, it's not great. I think the midfield is a big cause for concern. That's just glaringly obvious to me. We just can't seem to get control of many games, and I think that's a big area. And then obviously we've let in a lot of goals from set pieces. I think it's seven set pieces we've conceded in 5 games. And for me, like, I know I don't want to simplify the game. I know we've got professional footballers on here, but how hard can it be? Like, everyone get a man and don't lose your man.
Well, I analysed the set pieces yesterday last night on Match of the Day, and it's all second balls, and Graham Potter come out and said they've been working on set plays. So as a coach, there's only so much you can do, but they're not winning the first header, and then the problem is they're not reacting quick enough, and then the second ball they're conceding goals. So it's crazy to concede 7 from 5, but when you have a lack of confidence and a lack of belief, I think that's clear with the West Ham players and the fans as well. I can imagine there's a lack of belief in the team. Well, it looks like the owners and the manager. So I can imagine it's not a good place to be for you guys at the minute.
Is it Potter in or out? That's what I want to know.
I think the trouble is, right, is that you've had a pre-season, and I don't know if Gov, but we've now, this is like the 3rd manager in that many seasons where we're signing. He's picked these signings apparently, allegedly, right? They're his players. So it's 4 or 5 games in, and you're talking you're going to get rid of him, bring someone else in who's going to have another way. If, for example, it's Nuno, don't get me wrong, I think the players we've actually brought in are decent enough players, but it's a whole different style then. And I think that I feel like when you look at the other teams that, like Palace yesterday or Brentford or the teams that we're around, each of them has like a clear style. Brighton, for example, who are now leaps and bounds but Brighton, I sort of know one of the owners there, and the way that they talk about the infrastructure and the club and what it means to be a Brighton manager or a Palace manager or a Brentford manager or anyone around, you know, they feel like they've got an actual style and they've got a tone of play. We don't have that. We've flipped and we flopped, and we're like, for example, now we'll lose. Potentially looks like Potter's going. Who comes in next is going to be a wild change. You know, I'd like to see someone like Kieran come in from Ipswich. I think he'd be good, but for me, I think it runs so deep. I went on soccer. I think you talked about this before, okay, but I went on Soccer AM when we first moved, and like, you know, I was never sure about the move. I think to step us forward, it was an amazing thing, but we all know that. And I think Everton, looking what they've done, is incredible. And mates of mine are Everton fans, but for me, I think.
But you want to Moisey out?
No, I did. No.
Thankfully, he's giving back to us. So.
There's certain fans who wanted it. I never. Look. I would always be indebted to David for bringing us our first, a trophy. Do you know what I mean? And also, I actually didn't think we were ready to get rid of him. Like, don't get me wrong. I think it was bad to keep him, but there was a lot of people there, Wayne. You're right. Who be careful what you wish for. Do you know what I mean? And I think it's interesting with Potter because I feel I don't know, Wayne, you know more than me, but I think for players,
I think what you've just said before. I think when you said about Brentford and Brighton having a clear way of playing, and that's because the club identify the managers to come in, and the club have got their own philosophy, regardless of what who the manager is, they bring in and they stick to that, and that's why you've seen a progression with them clubs. I think what's happening with West Ham at the minute is, you know, obviously Moisey's got a completely different style to Graham Potter. For instance, in Slaven Village before, I know that was a while ago, and maybe talk of him coming back in at some point as a different philosophy. And when you're changing from philosophy to philosophy, which Man United have been doing in terms of Ten Hag and now Ruben is a completely different way. It takes time to then get players out, get players in, and then before you know it, that manager doesn't get the results, and then they're gone, and then you're back to square one. So I think for the club to have a good foundation would help. And I've heard about it similar with Man United, where they're saying that Man United, you know, there's a way of playing which is great, but if you haven't got the players to do that, and I've heard West Ham, you know, the West Ham way, which is probably going back to the 60s. But
you are. It's a bizarre thing that people that are like, you know, even my age talk about the West Ham way. And I'm like,
what's your definition of the West Ham way, Tom?
I think the best team for me anyway was the Carrick, Cole, Rio. That team of youngsters coming through, that was a team where I was a bit younger myself, and that was a team where I was like, you could get behind, and there were young kids coming through the youth team. It was an exciting time to be a West Ham fan. I think Bilic's team was an exciting time. I don't know if there's even a way of playing what people sometimes deem the West Ham way to be anymore. But I certainly think it's very strange. Tobido, for example, people, you know what it's like, Gov. Before everyone's talking about FPL and everything, and we signed this kid for 35 million to play centre back. That's a lot of money for anyone. Considering the lad Arsenal brought in for 13, that's 35 million for a centre back and he's not even playing. He's not. Bissaka was led heads and shoulders above anyone last season, and he, again, not playing. You're like, so. You start wondering what's going on. Who's brought in Tobido?
What's happened? Because Graham, with managers, they don't become bad managers overnight. And
I think he's taken his time to become an absolute shocking manager.
No, but this is the thing about managers, right? Whoever, if Pep comes in tomorrow, he's still got a midfield. He's got Mateus Fernandes, who I think is a good sign, and I think he's the closest.
I think he's a good sign
that we've had. He's our ball winner, right? But then you've got James Ward-Prowse. Expert professional, decent at set pieces, good passer,
nice lad.
Control the game from the midfield. You won't grab it by the scruff of the neck. And then you've got Paqueta, who again has his moments, can find a good pass and all that kind of stuff. But you look at the Palace game, the way Wharton and Hughes, as that double pivot, controlled the midfield, we weren't getting anywhere near them. And we haven't got a player like Wharton just to grab the game by the scruff of the neck and control it. And I think whoever the manager is that comes in, if there is one, he's still got that midfield to deal with, and it's not great.
But also, Gov, the thing that really frustrates me, and I talked to Harry, I worked with Harry Maguire recently, I was talking to him about West Ham, and pre-season, we played Potts, centre midfield, all pre-season. He looked like we've got a young kid coming through the academy. He's had a couple of seasons on loan in Championship League One teams. He's got a bit of bite about him. He's not Adam Wharton. I think that he's a unique talent, but Potsy's he puts his foot in where and Harry was saying this kid looked good. We were all in the midfield. He looked decent. That people were talking about him, and we started the season, and nothing against Thomas Souček because I think he's a great club man. I think or Ward-Prowse, because I think he's a great professional. But this kid, you look around and you look at other teams playing those young players, and we're not doing it. And you think, when you talk about the West Ham way, you are going back to those young players like Rio, Frank, and even before Jeff Hurst and whoever. That is the thing.
I think when you're struggling, it is very difficult to play the young players, obviously, because if they're good enough and they're head and shoulders above the other players, then of course you play them. But if sometimes you kill them as well if you throw them into a struggling team. It doesn't help them with the careers, and before you know it, they're in a really bad position. So I get that. I think there's a lot of overthinking. I think since Pep coming to England, a lot of coaches, and listen, I was guilty of that as well. You go into a job and you think, right, you want to play this way, you're going to do this, and very quickly you learn that, if you haven't got the players to do that, you can't do that. West Ham over the last 10 years, the success they've had is when you've got, your players like a Mark Noble or even Declan Rice when he was in there, players who have got quality on the ball, but they're going to take the game by the scruff of the neck. They're going to lead the other players and put tackles in, and that runs right through the team. Then the other players react to that, and I think that's maybe where West Ham are missing that leader in there who's going to do that for them, in my opinion, from what I've seen this season.
But Wayne, you see your point on the young players, right? So the science behind it for me is they're on, I don't know what, a couple grand a week or whatever. They've got a lot to prove. Normally they're local lads. We've not done well this season. We're sitting in 18th. My thing is, you might as well chuck them in. What
I was saying about throwing young players in when you're struggling, I think it's a little bit deeper than just that. I think if you're in a struggling team and you really need to know the player, you need to know the player's character, because listen, there's no hiding place when you're playing, professional sport and in the Premier League, and there's a lot of pressure from fans as we're seeing from different teams as well. And if that player doesn't have a good game, and then all of a sudden he's getting absolutely abused on social media, and what's his mental status like, and there's all this you need to think about, to throw young players in, and so it's not just as easy as saying, right, like when I went in, I'd go in and I've had issues throughout my life as well, in terms of dealing with different types of pressures and stuff, where I've always felt I was a really strong person. So you need to really understand the player and his background as well before you take that. Listen, if you're a winner team, no problem, you throw them in, and that's where you see young players thrive. But you'd have to be a little bit more careful with teams who are struggling.
like I look at Slaven Bilic, and a great. We had some great times under Slav, but I think a step forward it doesn't feel like the right move. I think as well. Like I said, I think it runs very deep. Like at West Ham, I think that that winning that cup, and I think the fact having someone like Declan come through the ranks and Declan be the player that Declan was and do the things that Declan did and to win us that cup with David and whatever, I think was great. And it was a bit of not a fluke, because I don't think anything. Like you were saying, Wayne, I don't think the infrastructure for the club was ever built. It was just like, we've got this kid. This kid is a mate. With Declan, Moisey structured the team, and I think that's why I was never Moisey out. I thought Moisey actually, for the players he had, he was like, okay, this is how we'll play. I also think that Moisey's use of Jarrod Bowen, what he got from Jarrod Bowen, I think even Mohamed Kudus was a better player for us under Moisey.
I think that's where we're all guilty, aren't we, of seeing some of the football being played throughout the world now and thinking, right, you want that from your team, and some of the older managers, if you like a Moisey, or even Sam Allardyce I work with, who was, I know Sam was at West Ham, and Sam surprised me when I went in, with all the scientific, everything behind the science of football. Was really impressed with, where you want to get there too quick sometimes, and that's why we're seeing a lot of managers losing their jobs, and they're trying different options, and foreign managers or younger managers with fresh ideas, and sometimes the most important thing is that stability, which I think we've seen, as you mentioned before, Brighton, Brentford, Bournemouth have got that stability, and now they can kick on a little bit. I think West Ham is still trying to find that now over the last few years.
Tom, I'm told we've interrupted a family
Oh yeah, no, I've got 2 minutes. I'll run downstairs.
You've got 2 minutes. Brilliant. I didn't want to get in trouble with any family members for keeping you too long. So I was
you'll hear the door open and someone shouting.
You'll be forcibly removed from the podcast. Go on, carry on.
No, but I think the truth of the Potter situation, and I think the truth of everything that we're seeing, like I say, with the board, I think I think we could change. I don't think we'll make massive steps forward unless I think other.
All right, but if he goes, who are you bringing in? That's what we need to.
I like Nuno. Like I said, I think Kieran would be good for Ipswich, but I also don't think that I don't think enough is going to be done behind the scenes. And I still, as Wayne's saying, I think you get rid of Graham Potter and it's a bit like the United situation, but we haven't got United's money, so you're just going to keep on.
What about you,
Gov?
It's got to be Nuno. I don't want Kieran anywhere near West Ham.
Yeah, but Nuno's even more, not negative, I don't want to say negative, he's a very good manager and he showed that what he's done, but even like more defensive than David Moyes is.
Yeah, but Wayne, we just need to stay up this season, bro.
Because I will say,
we need to stay up.
I'll finish on this, because I tell you what, that everyone was at West Ham, and I've been at a couple of games, people would turn around and go, oh, the clubs that have come up on that, all that, and actually you watch Sunderland and Burnley,
they're decent this year.
They're playing well, and Leeds don't look that bad, you know. So all of a sudden you're looking around and you're thinking, okay, this is shaky now, and you could be on it's a very, so yeah, I am with Gov. I think I don't want to, you don't want to go down, because I actually think if West Ham go down, I think it will be a very, very difficult thing. The way the clubs run, I think it would actually be a struggle, I think, at times to get
that
it back to where it was.
Championship's a tough league, I'll tell you.
Tom, on that note, the topic of relegation, we'll let you go back to your family.
It's meant to be a celebration.
Go and get yourself a beer. Tom, Guvna B, thank you so much for joining us. Hopefully next time it'll be to discuss happier.
Can I just say one thing before I go?
Of course.
Wayne, why did you find it respectful enough to score not just 1 but 2 goals from the halfway line against West Ham?
No, the first time it was just inside your half, so I had to go one better and do it from inside my own half.
In disrespect to 2014, man. See you lot later.
Guys, thank you so much.
Cheers, lads. Thanks a lot.
Now the guys have gone, Wayne, I can ask you, do you think West Ham are in danger of going down? What needs to happen next?
I think there's a possibility. I think they have been struggling this season, and as I said before, all the stats are down, and I know that's not everything, but there's a lack of belief in the club's in a bad place at the minute. I think we've seen that with the protests against the owners, and I think a lot of fans are saying that they don't want Potter there at the club. So I hope he can turn it around, but whether he has the time to do that, we'll wait and see. But yeah, I think they're in danger, and as Tom said, that Burnley are doing okay, Leeds doing okay, Sunderland have started the season well. So the likes of West Ham and I think Brentford even as well, who I mentioned they're having a good model in changing Thomas Frank and Keith Andrews' first job in the Premier League is very difficult. So I think there's a couple, 2 or 3 teams who will be looking and be very concerned.
But Wayne, does that show as well how important it is for a manager to choose a club where the structure is right at the top for your own career as well? Because when he was at Brighton, everyone was, there were some shouts for the England job for Graham Potter, and now we're in the situation we're in. Yeah,
and each club's different as well, and I think you have to, you try and pick the best club, and a lot of that is based on trust as well, because I've been there where you do job interviews for a manager's job, and you get promised things and you don't get them, so a lot of that comes on a trust of the owners to produce and give you what they say they will, and that's not always the case.
Okay, well, let's talk about the late game on Sunday. We spoke about it in our preview pod last week, which came out on Friday. Arsenal against Man City finished 1-1. Okay, what did you make of the game? Because I don't think it exactly played out how a lot of us were expecting, particularly, I don't know, watching Man City, it felt very different the way they kind of approached things when they went 1-0 up.
Yeah, it was interesting seeing Pep's team sort of play a low block.
Yeah.
But if I was an Arsenal fan, I'd be fuming at the way Arteta set the team up to begin with. They've got so much good, creative attacking players, and to start a game without Eze playing, without Ranieri playing, and they're playing essentially 2 holding midfielders at home against your title rivals, I thought it was a bit weird, and that first half sort of showed that as well. Where I don't think anybody was impressed with the way they came out, and having made those 2 subs at half time, Arteta probably realised he'd made a mistake and he shouldn't have set up in that way as well. So
yeah, 32.8% possession is the lowest figure any Pep Guardiola team has ever recorded in a top flight match. And it looked for so long, Wayne, like it was going to work, but it was a wonder strike in the end from Martinelli to level things. Some of the Arsenal fans are a bit frustrated, like Kay said. Do you understand why? Would you have liked to have seen them go for it more?
Yeah, I think that there's a pressure on Arteta to win something major this season, and I said it last week about Man City. I think they're different. I think Pep's trying to evolve a new team and a new way of playing, if you like, and trying to be more effective. I don't think they've quite got the midfield which they once had, where they can be as expansive. So I think they are slightly changing how they're playing a little bit. But for Arsenal, I think it's difficult because Man City have got some very good players, and similar to the Liverpool game, and it's not easy to penetrate and to create big chances against the best teams. And what I will say is it's a real positive they kept going and got the equaliser late on, because it's not easy to do that, and a really good goal as well. So yeah, I think Arsenal could have won the game, but I think they'll be pleased in the end the way the game finished.
Yeah, it did feel, as Kay said, like a bit of an almost admittance from Arteta. Okay, this isn't working, and he changed it at half time. How frustrated would you be if you were Eze or Ranieri, because they came on, they made a big impact? You must have played in games before where you've seen a manager change things early on, or a manager get things wrong and almost have to admit it within the 90 minutes. Yeah,
well, I think that's a huge strength to recognise it and change it. So I think sometimes, and not every manager in world football, you pick a team and sometimes you get it wrong. You get whether it's a player wrong, whether it's tactically you get it wrong, and maybe Arteta weren't anticipating the way Man City were going to play. So Man City, you prepare for something which you feel Man City will, how they will play, and when they don't, he's probably recognised that and changed it and thought, what if they are playing a bit lower, a low block, playing a bit lower, then the likes of Eze can, he's got that bit of skill and ability to go past the player and create, might give us a better option. So yeah, I think that's a positive that he has seen and recognised it and changed it, and obviously they went on to get something from the game. So I think sometimes you were quick to jump at teams who draw the game at home. Them big games are the tough games, and you're trying to win a title, and they're very difficult games to. You're not going to.
I hear you, Wayne.
Very rarely do you see teams go and win 2 or 3-0 in them games.
No, I know, but if I was an Arsenal fan, like you said, the pressure's on, right? And it's early on in the season, and City aren't like firing on all cylinders early on in the season. They don't get going. They grind out the results, but they don't get going until later on, especially with them having the Club World Cup and stuff. This isn't stellar Man City performances. They're there for the taking. I feel like if Arteta came out with an attacking lineup, I reckon they could have won this game.
Yeah, well, we seen it was a few years ago, maybe 2 years ago. The Arteta done this at the Etihad as well. And I think it was a red card, or it was a late goal or something. Which so we have seen it with Arteta before, and I think you have to. There's a certain element of trust in Arteta, because he has got them back to challenging to try and win Premier League titles. I know they haven't won it, but they are challenging. They went far in the Champions League, so that's what he does in the big games. And they've won big games, they've lost big games. I still think it's a decent point. Could they have won the game? Of course they could. But in the main, going 1-0 down and then Man City playing a low block, it's very difficult to break teams down when they do that. So, I think Man City have probably flipped what Arsenal done to them a few years ago, and they seen how hard that was to break down. And Man City have done that and nearly got away with it. It's very similar to the Arsenal game against Liverpool, where Arsenal went to a low block and Liverpool get the goal and win the game 1-0. If they don't, then you're saying what a good performance, what a good point. And Man City have gone there tried to nick a 1-0 win, but failed. So I think it's a good point in the end. I think any point against Man City, even though they're not the best with some of the players they have, I think it's a good point.
Yeah, you actually said after watching, when we spoke, I remember immediately after Arsenal away at Liverpool, you were a little bit critical, and you actually said, I think it was on the last show, that actually when you reflected on it, you actually realised it was one goal or such a fine margin. They actually played really well in that game, so they're executing this game plan quite well, Arsenal. So you can say that yes, you see why Arsenal fans are frustrated, but it kind of is paying off, is it not?
We'll see at the end of the season.
Well, the end of the season will tell us that. And Alex Ferguson used to always say to us, the big games we draw, I think there was a game we drew with Fulham away, and we've got in the dressing room, we're a bit annoyed, and the manager comes in and says that point will win us the league. So
Arteta maybe said that today.
And then on the flip side, he used to say, when we had a team 2 or 3-0, when we're leading 2 or 3-0, he'd say keep going, keep scoring, trying to score more goals. You never know, this league could be winning or lost on goal difference, which we obviously experienced, and used to think that won't happen. But obviously we were on the wrong side of that. So there's points in throughout the season, which only time will tell, of course, but they end up being massive. If Arsenal win the league by 1 point, you look back on this game and say, you know what, that was a massive result.
Okay, well, let's end on a bit of a lighter note, because the very popular EA Sports FC game is out now. And Wayne, you're actually in the Legends part of the game. So firstly, do you know what your rating is?
I think so. Someone showed me the other day.
Oh, is it?
Was it 89?
Oh, you've given yourself an extra one. 88.
88.
What do you make of that?
That is diabolical. That should have been... the fact that he's not at least 90.
I was surprised it didn't start with a 9, going to be honest.
Yeah, I don't care. Well, I thought, how has my son got it? Is it out?
Special treatment because he's Kai Rooney? I don't know.
No, it's my youngest one, Cass. No, he bought it. I paid £89 for it.
Jesus.
It must be out then, yeah.
That's what reminds me. I need to go and take my credit card off the PlayStations, because I've had bills where they're buying FIFA points and stuff.
How much would you have given yourself? What rating would you have given yourself?
I mean, probably around about 90.
But are you a big gamer, Wayne?
Yeah, I play. I used to play a lot, FIFA and Call of Duty, and then Yeah, of late, obviously not played much. I played a bit with some of them YouTubers and a bit of pro clubs and that, which was fun. But yeah, I don't mind. I'll play with the kids now and again.
You any good?
Yeah, I'm brilliant.
Well, you can say that because we've got no one. We need Kai or someone on here to tell us if you're actually any good.
I'm brilliant. I reckon I'd be in the top 100 in the world.
Do you know who's got the same rating?
Sorry, no,
on this FIFA?
he reckons he'd be the top 100 in the world. That's quite something.
Do you know what I find funny though? Because when you talk about his football career, Wayne downplays it. He's like, "Yeah, I was all right."
His FIFA career, best 100 in the world.
No, I'm all right. I'm okay.
We'll have to ask a few people about that.
Yeah, I'm okay, but do you know what? Actually, I think I'm good. And like when I used to play Ultimate Team, and you do well, and then you come up against someone, you're just like, yeah, no, I'm not that good.
Wayne, do you know what legend you are? Like, you've got the same rating as?
No.
Think about it. Think about someone we've spoken about recently on the pod who's spoken about you as well.
Oh, Michael Owen.
Yes.
Is he? I should be ironing him.
That was the line we were after, Wayne. Thank you for going there. To give you some of the other names, your new colleague, Alan Shearer, is on 89. Gary Lineker and Harry Kane also one ahead of you. The only former Manchester United players that are rated higher than you, though, are Bobby Charlton on 92, Peter Schmeichel and Eric Cantona. They're only just above you, though, on 89.
Do you know what? I don't get it because I see some cards where I'm like 88 or whatever, and then some where I'm 94 and one where I'm 91, and I think
Neither
there's
do
different things. I don't understand it, but yeah, anyway.
Neither do I. I'm not a big gamer. Kay, do you play?
I haven't played in years, honestly. I don't get the time to, unfortunately. But when I did play, I was really into it. But once like these cards started costing money and stuff, I was like, this is getting way out of hand.
Honestly, they pay.
You need Wayne Rooney's credit card.
They pay so much money. No, I was getting. I was away, and me and Coleen were both getting emails. And then the kids must have just been clicking on it. And it was a lot of money for FIFA points, yeah.
I'd have been on a bank claiming fraud.
So now if I buy them a game, I put my card in and then I delete it off it before I do it. But I bought FIFA the other day and I forgot to take it off. So I'll have to, as soon as I get home, I'll have to take it off.
Wayne, who else did you kind of play with when you were playing? I imagine during your career, footballers have a lot of downtime.
Do you know what? We used to play, not FIFA, true story this, Man United. I really believed a big part of our success was playing the PSP.
Really? Why?
Not honestly, because it got us communicating more. We used to play the PSP. We used to play it on the plane, on the team bus. You play like 5v5. So there'd be me, Rio, Michael Carrick, John O'Shea, Wes Brown, and 5v5 and called SOCOM on the PSP. It was an army game, and you have to talk. You have to tactically be right and go and revive people when they get killed. And it was a massive part of our success, I believe. So, and you ask any of them players that you played at the same time, it was brilliant. And actually, how you played that game actually reflected that player, how they played the game. It was crazy. Like Michael Carrick was a little sneaky, calm one who, would you'd be lying down hiding, and you just hear a little grenade bouncing by you where he'd throw it at you. So, just a little.
What were you like then, Wayne?
Well, I was just all in. I was just like straight in, front line of the trenches, get in there. But that might surprise you, but that was a massive part of our success.
That's funny though. The idea, like I'm just going into a football club going, listen guys, we're not going on the pitch today. Here's Call of Duty. Will you play that for a week and then come back?
No, Edwin van der Sar used to get annoyed, obviously, because we're on the team bus, for instance, and there's just shouting all over the place where you're telling people where you're at, like that. And sometimes if they've got one player left, you're trying to flank them and go and get them, so you communicate to get him. Van der Sar used to get annoyed and move. He used to try and get as far away from us as possible.
Okay, on that note, that's where we'll leave it this week. Kay, busy on tour again?
Yes, I'll be in Cardiff, Bristol, Southampton and Reading. Yeah, the big ones.
You do clock up the miles. When Wayne joined the call, he's in a hotel, he's in Scotland, and Kay was like, oh, that's a nice hotel, looks lovely there. And I was like, well, of course it is. And then you were saying about some of the hotels you stayed in.
I spent £30 on my hotel room.
Had a few
wouldn't even cost lunch, like, do you know what I mean, for that?
Yeah, Wayne, as I said, you're in a hotel, you're in Scotland, you've been playing golf with a few Man United legends, is that right?
Yeah, there's me, Carrick, Giggs, Dan Gibson, Clayton Blackmore. So yeah, it's a charity event, so we've come down to show our support and try and help raise money.
Cool, I imagine it was a better mood than this time last week. At least you can all enjoy the Man United result yesterday. But enjoy your few days in Scotland. A reminder, we'll be back on Friday. You can watch the Wayne Rooney Show on the BBC Sport YouTube and iPlayer, or you can listen to us on BBC Sounds.